Hello, this is a video guide on how to use Quackondo. So for those unfamiliar, Quackle is a tool that's commonly used to analyze Scrabble games, and Macondo is a very powerful AI for Scrabble that until now hasn't had a very nice interface to use. So this is a tool that's supposed to make it easier to use Macondo by integrating it into Quackle. So let's go install it. So we're going to go to the releases page, and I'll link this in the description. You're going to download the latest installer. On Windows, you want to download this. On Linux, you want to download and extract this. On Mac, you're on your own, unfortunately, because it's hard to make software for Macs without owning a Mac. So we're going to run this installer. And it's going to take a little while because it has to install a whole bunch of lexicons. And this includes the latest NWL and CSW lexica, which right now Quackle doesn't have because it hasn't been updated in a while. So let's finish and let's run it. So I'm just going to go to the start menu, and you should see it here, or you can search for it. And now, the first thing we have to do is set up our board. Unfortunately, Quackle doesn't include any boards by default for copyright reasons, so I'm going to set up OMG words. Oh, whoops. Let's finish that. Alright. And now, let's see what Macondo can do. So we're going to go to desktop, and I have some games here. So let's take a look at this game. Let's look at this turn. Normally you would click generate choices and then click simulate, and this is going to run Quackle's built-in AI to try to figure out what's best. But we can switch this over to Macondo by going to the Macondo tab and clicking this checkbox, use Macondo for simulate. And now when we run simulate, this is going to be a Macondo simulation. So in theory this should do better than Quackle. And we see that this play of tack is actually better than Caked, which has a higher equity because we're setting up our S here. But that's not very exciting so far, because this is just stuff that Quackle can do, but maybe a bit better. Let's see something that's unique to Macondo. So we're going to head to the endgame, where there's 6 tiles unseen, which means the bag is empty. And now go to the Macondo tab and now click solve endgame. And this is going to find the guaranteed best play to make. It analyzes all possible moves and all possible responses, and we see that the best is this bay play, and we can hover over it and it'll show us the optimal sequence. So if my opponent is playing optimally, after this they should play schmo down here, and then I should play rerun, nicely fitting in between these two words. So let's try this out. We can click commit, and now if we've forgotten the sequence, we can go back here and click solve endgame again. It'll take a little bit and find the best endgame, and we can do that one last time, and there we go. So that's pretty nice, but Macondo isn't just good for endgames, it can also do pre-endgames, where there's a few tiles left in the bag. Generally, I'd say don't try to do any more than 2 in the bag, because it probably won't go very well. It'll probably get stuck and take basically forever. So let's take a look at this pre-endgame. We have an awful rack of CIIIIIO, and there's 8 unseen tiles, so 7 on our opponent's rack and 1 in the bag. And the unseen tiles also look pretty bad. So let's see what Macondo thinks about this. Turns out this endgame is actually pretty easy to solve, but it's kind of unintuitive. So we see that this play of foy wins 1 in 8 times. And we can hover over it and see which specific tile draws we're hoping for. So we see the thumbs up next to the eye. That means we win if we draw the eye, and we lose if we draw any other tile. So what's going to happen? How are we going to win when we're down 116 points? Well, let's suppose we do draw the eye. Then with this awful rack, what is our opponent going to do? Let's click Solve Endgame. Now we see its best choice is just to play res here. Okay. So now let's solve Endgame once more. We see that the best play is this crazy disconnected 15 of immiscibilities. And that wins us the game. So that's a little fun. But let's see some more things we can do. So on this play, suppose that we somehow know that our opponent has an eye on the rack. Maybe they just played a phony. Then we can put this into the opponent rack field here and solve pre-endgame. And we see that with an eye on the rack, there's no way we can win, and our best play is just to play off one of our eyes with REI. So now sometimes, unfortunately, it takes a long time for Macondo to solve a pre-endgame. This is especially true if there's one or more blanks unseen. So let's take a look at this game. This looks like a pretty obvious play. It scores a lot more than the other options. But let's see what Macondo thinks. We're going to click Solve Pre-Endgame, and it's going to be... Oh wait, do I still have the old rack there? I should get rid of that. Let's get rid of this rack, because it doesn't make sense here. Solve Pre-Endgame. And yeah, so it's going to take a while. And we can see down here its progress. Unfortunately, this only updates every 100 plays, so it's not as bad as it looks. This is going to take a little while. So we see after all this time that Grok, which looked like the best play, actually is the best play and wins 100% of the time. So what can we do to speed this up? Well, the first thing we can do is only consider high equity options. So if we click Generate Choices, we can click this Generated Moves Only button, and that'll ensure that only these plays are analyzed by Macondo. So in theory, it should take a bit less time. It actually still takes quite a while because for a lot of the other plays, Macondo can basically eliminate them immediately, but it still does speed things up a bit. And there we go. So if, also if like you're pretty sure that Grok is the best play, then you can remove all others, or maybe add one other play, and then just analyze these. Let's look at some of the other options. We can decrease the number of endgame plays, so this will make it run significantly faster, but it won't be as accurate, so it's possible that it can miss an optimal endgame. And we can also skip tiebreakers, so instead of looking for the optimal play, including point differential, it's just going to try to look for the optimal win percentage play. So basically it can stop as soon as it finds a guaranteed win. And let's solve this, and it should in theory be much faster. There we go. But you see, it's actually changed its mind. It's put OK above Grok because we told it to ignore spread. So it's just going to go for the guaranteed win. So there you have it. That's Quackondo. And I should mention that this is some very new software, so it's definitely possible that there are bugs. If you see anything weird happening, one thing you can check is this Macondo output. It can be a bit garbled. There's all these squares here. But in theory, if you read through it, you should hopefully be able to understand what's going wrong. If you have any issues, you can always go to GitHub here and go to the issues page, which unfortunately it's not showing on the... There we go. And create a new issue. Oh, you have to make an account, unfortunately. But just describe what the problem is, and I'll try to see if I can fix it. So that's all, and I hope you enjoy some Scrabble analysis with this tool.